would you do if you had 320 million pairs of eyes on you? Well, for men and women all across the country coming together to play one major sporting event, this is a reality. Does anyone know what major sport I might be talking about? No, it's not the Super Bowl. Actually, it's the FIFA World Cup. I've grown up watching the World Cup and playing soccer, so I've done research on this major sporting event numerous times. I've pulled some information from some very credible sources, and I hope they are very reliable to you. Why would you want to know more about the World Cup? Well, soccer is a very popular sport everywhere, and is currently an up-and-coming sport in the United States. For you to learn more about the World Cup, I'll have to take it back all the way to when it began, then go into some very memorable moments, and lastly, talk about the most recent World Cup. Now, I know most of you haven't grown up around soccer or played, so to begin my speech, to inform you about the World Cup, I'm going to take it back to when it all began. The World Cup is a very exciting sporting event where the finest men and women from all across the world come together as a soccer team and play. But looking at it, you would think it was way different from when it all started. In 1930 is when the first World Cup would ever be held, and it was organized by FIFA. Even though the first game was in 1930, the game and its rules had been drawn up years before. According to the official FIFA site, the first rules ever written were written down in 1863. The rules have changed many times and will continue changing as different generations of players, coaches, officials, and people that watch come through the world of soccer. One example of rules that have been changed is the offsides rule. Before I go on, does anyone know what offsides means? Well, offsides is simply put by the Orlando City Soccer Club, means that the player is closer to the opponent's goal line than the ball and the last defender. But back in 1863, the rule stated that offsides was when a player was closer to the opponent's goal line before the ball and the third to last defender. Now that you know a little bit about the history of the World Cup, it's time to get into the fun, the dirty, and the downright ugly. With the World Cup being a huge event, there's going to be exciting moments that will be talked about for years to come. The next few items that you may see, or hear will make you laugh, cry, or even look away in disgust. Memorable moments are made all the time during the World Cup, but not always caught on camera. The most recent moment that people get a kick out of is when Neymar Jr. tried to sell a foul a little too much. Yes, this was a very funny sight, and now it's become a huge meme or reference on the internet. Now that you've had a little bit of a laugh, let's get into the more recent World Cup. The most recent World Cup happened this past year. That's right, in 2018. Unless you didn't watch TV from June 15th to July 14th, you were bound to see something about it. The World Cup was held in Russia, but it was held in different areas of Russia, all over Russia. The matches alternated between 11 different arenas throughout Russia. According to the official page for the 2018 World Cup, the largest arena used was the Lushid Stadium. The stadium could hold over 78,000 people. The stadium has also held many other large sporting events, and now adding the World Cup to its list, it's became a really popular field. All the stadiums that were used in the World Cup range in sizes and brought different styles to the World Cup. This World Cup was very unpredictable to everyone, but that's what made it very interesting. Before the World Cup even begins, there are favorite teams that are favored to win. This year, the team that was favored to win was Germany. Why were they favored to win? Because they had won the 2014 World Cup. They had beat out Argentina in the finals 4 years ago. So it would come to no surprise that they are at the top of the list to win this year. What you see before you are the remaining predictions of who was bound to win the World Cup. With this is also the picture of the knockout round of the World Cup. While looking at these side by side, you can see that many teams were knocked out by underdogs. One of the biggest upsets was when Germany lost in the group play. This means they didn't even make it to the full knockout round. After this is when things really started getting unpredictable until there was only 2 teams left. In the end, there can only be one team that is the world champ. And for the 2018 World Cup, this team was France, with a 4-2 win over Croatia.